devastated, sure enough. Months later, said, "Can you replace John Blank on his greatest airboat?"
Hello?
I don't know about that, actually.
Wait to go do nothing.
What was that?
Echo.
Just stop. No, it didn't.
What was it? Was it Joe DiMaggio?
I don't know. Guys in the TV room, we need to fix this. Please, one day. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Schwager absent. Councilman Bialy.
Here.
Councilman Knapp.
Here.
Councilman Kamala.
Here.
Councilman Levy.
Here.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Here.
Councilman Talamini.
Here.
Motion to excuse the mayor? So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have to do something with this.
No, I try shutting off the mic, see what happens.
Although, nobody will be heard.
Everybody off? Maybe it's just yours.
I don't know.
Hello?
You know, shut yours off and see John's on. John, why don't you say something?
Hello?
No, I think it's all the mics.
All right, so let's do this. Just keep your mic off unless you have to talk, and then just push the button, and then we'll all try to make it work. But we really have to get this fixed, guys. Okay, salute to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Remain standing for a moment of silence, and with Veterans Day just passing, please keep all vets in your prayers. Okay, thank you. Be seated. Okay. Oh, that's gonna kill me all night if that's continued. I wonder if it's because we're too close to that mic. I don't think so.
Yeah, they were turning down the levels on all the mics, so are those on?
No, they're not on. Blue light, no blue light. All right, let's try to go with it the way it is. Okay, meeting announcement. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, duly announced, advertised, and posted in the municipal building. The mayor's report. Obviously, the mayor's not here tonight. Unfortunately, the mayor's sister passed away, and she is with her family at this time, so I am filling in. So we're going to take a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public? Oh, Mr. Connolly.
Good evening, Tom Connolly, 1 Windy Bridge. First off, I'd like to congratulate both Mayor Schwager and Councilman Knapp on their win last week. I'd like to thank all the Oakland residents for their support for Tom Connolly. And I'd just like to thank all you councilmen for the time that you give, and to all the Oakland people that voted for me and the ones that didn't, at least you came out and voted. Thank you so much.
Thank you for stepping up.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you, appreciate it.
Anyone in the crowd? Oh, Mike. No? All right, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of minutes from October 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Approval of the executive minutes from October 16th, and as you all know, if anything needs to be discussed, it has to be done in exec session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Okay. Special announcements, are we doing that, or are we waiting on that?
We can do
No,
that.
I'm sorry. Council President, you can do that. It was the mayor's nomination. You're just indicating that it's the mayor's nomination.
Okay. So this is the mayor's nomination, as we just heard. So this is to appoint Kim Balma to the Oakland Shade Tree Commission.
It's mayoral, so-
So that's all we need. We don't need a vote on that. Okay. Good. Okay, resolutions. I'll read them. I'll just touch on them by title, and then we will do a consent agenda on them. Unless you need something pulled out, just let me know at the end. So 19307, authorized grant application for New Jersey Transit Enhanced Mobility of Seniors Grant Program. 19308, authorized recreation refunds. I don't have the details in front of me, and honestly, this microphone thing is driving me nuts, so we're just going to fly through these. 19309, authorized Burgess downtown planning. 19310, cancel our capital balances. 19311 is to approve the LoSAP list. 19312, Chapter 159 Senior Center Generator. 19313 is a budget transfer. 19314 is to hire seasonal laborers. 19315, authorize the purchase of a dump truck for the DPW. 19316 is accrued time payout for Tyler Del Corpo. 19317 is to authorize the agreement of the police chief's salary. And 19319 is to authorize FEMA grants, which is going to be pulled for tonight. So other than 319, does anybody have anyone
Yes.
they'd like pulled?
Council President, I'd like 19-311 pulled, please.
Okay. 19311. Okay, we'll do that one separate. Any others? Okay, can I get a motion to approve a consent agenda for all resolutions minus 311 and 319?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Okay, so now we will take a separate vote on resolution 19-311, the approval of the LoSAP list. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay.
I think the concern was that certain members of the council received LoSAP, so that's why it was listed for separate vote.
Correct. So we have a second?
I can second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Abstain.
Councilman Kamala.
Abstain.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Abstain.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, it's, you have three affirmative votes, that's
Good.
sufficient to pass.
Ordinances, introductions. The actual ordinances.
This is the one you're introducing. The tree one is being carried. This one comes first, then the next one is the tree one.
Oh, so that's moving on.
That's being carried.
Okay.
78.
All right. 19, bond 798, supplemental appropriation ordinance. 19 bond 786. So just to touch on it real quick, capital ordinance of the Borough of Oakland in the County of New Jersey and Bergen. New Jersey providing a supplemental appropriation of $14,000 for ordinance 19-786 capital projects. Police Department IT equipment in and by and for the borough, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund for the general capital fund of the borough. So what this is in a nutshell is the police department is updating their computer network and software, and the price that we ended up having to pay was above what we originally budgeted for. So, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pinatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Okay, and I assume final adoption will be December 4th?
Bob, if I could just chime in on that.
Chime.
When you adopted the resolutions for the evening, one of those was to cancel the capital balance in that same amount of $14,000 for other police equipment that came in much lower than anticipated.
So it's just a trade-off?
Right, so we're just switching budget accounts, there's no net increase in the amount here being appropriated from capital for police equipment.
All right, very good. All right, so the 799 is being carried, so we're on to final adoptions for 794, emergency generator use.
So moved.
Oh, this is the one about testing a generator at your houses?
Yeah.
And so on, so, all right, can I get a motion on 794?
So moved.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, or just an all in favor?
All in favor, it's to open to the public.
Okay, right, I'm sorry. So we have to open to the public for final adoption, so, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Anybody from the public want to speak, of the two of you that are here?
Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so now we need a motion to move it forward.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Biagi.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Piantelli.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
All right. 796, off-duty police escrow. I'll just read the top part, ordinance amending, because we already went through these, ordinance amending supplemental chapter 2, administration of the code of the Borough of Oakland to add a new section 2-5A outside the employment of off-duty police officers. So can I get a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No? Motion to close?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to move?
So moved.
Roll call.
Councilman Biagi.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Piantelli.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
Okay. 797, vacant and nuisance property ordinance. An ordinance amending, supplementing Chapter 10, Building and Housing Code of the Borough of Oakland by the addition of Section 10-9, rehabilitation of abandoned property. This is basically a quality of life issues that we're working on, so can I get a motion to
So
open to
moved.
the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to move?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Biagi.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Piantelli.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
Work session items, Rich?
Sure, so the first item we have is the 2020 meeting schedule. Lisa prepared a draft schedule that was in your packet along with the calendar. I think that there are a couple of dates that we need to discuss that may conflict with Passover and something else. Lisa, do you want to just go through that a little bit?
Yeah, first of all, you'll have to pick the oath of office meeting date, which is usually held on that Sunday.
First Sunday of the new year.
It's the fifth.
I think it's the 4th. I got it. I'm
I
gonna,
think it is the fifth.
it is the Sunday the 5th, yes, I'm sorry. So that's fine with me, and I know the mayor said that's fine with her. So I guess that's when it'll
3
be.
o'clock.
12 o'clock usually.
Usually it's 12 or 1,
I
I
think
thought.
Grant said he has a conflict at 1 o'clock, I think.
I don't
So he's
know.
asking for 3.
All right, well, I don't know anything about that, so.
Lisa, did he talk to you about it?
He had asked me when it is, I said it's usually at 12. He said most Sundays he's not available till 3, I told him to work it out with.
Oh, but he hasn't reached out to me, so I don't know anything about it. So I guess we'll have to talk to the
You don't
mayor
have time.
and come up with that. We have to notice tonight, or can we do it on December 4th meeting?
Because his wife won't be able to be here, and I think that's,
The reason we were discussing this tonight was just because Michael needed the dates for the calendar. Michael, when do you officially need those dates?
Before the next meeting or right around that time, right?
We wanted December 1st.
December
So
1st.
before the next meeting.
So is there a hardship for not, can't we make it 3 o'clock for, to?
3 o'clock's fine with me.
So why don't we just, we'll work this out over the phone and we'll let you know, and then you can,
Yeah,
Tell
just
me.
you, yeah, and then I'll notice it.
okay.
Okay, so the only two dates that there were conflicts, April 8th is the first night of Passover, and then there's a meeting that would be scheduled November 11th, which is Veterans Day.
Maybe we can just make it on Tuesdays, those two meetings, instead of Wednesdays?
The only problem with the Veterans Day one, the Tuesday would be a Board of Adjustment meeting, and they meet here.
Don't we have precedent over that?
The other one, in April, you could do it on the Tuesday because Board of Adjustment wouldn't meet until the 14th.
So that would be the 7th? That's fine. November. And is anybody opposed to a Thursday night meeting? November 12th?
Thursday is Planning Board, which is now meeting here too.
All right, well, somebody has to cave, so,
We could always meet in the conference room. We don't have to meet here.
What about a Monday,
Yeah, what about
The ninth.
Monday?
I guess we can do that. On the 16th?
or the
Or
ninth?
the 9th?
Oh, I'm sorry, the 9th, not the 16th, yes. That's fine, that's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Okay.
All right, Monday the 9th.
And then what are we gonna do, in April, we're gonna do the 7th?
The
The 7th, yeah.
And that was November 9th?
Yes, sir. Okay, we're done with the schedule?
Done?
All right,
Other
Rich.
than the time of
You're
the
back.
office.
Okay, that segues into the draft of the borough calendar. This was an issue that had come up earlier this year, that we proposed for the first time to send out a townwide borough calendar, as many other towns do. That would have all of the meeting dates for the borough agencies, boards and commissions, and a lot of useful information, everything from recycling information to information about all of the borough departments and volunteer activities for easy reference by the public. So Michael has been working long and hard on this, recruiting sponsorships and developing the content of the agency and putting it together. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to him so he can talk to you about it in a little bit more detail. And then there's a decision that you have to make on the cover.
Michael?
Thank you for having me tonight. So again, in front of you, you have the draft borough calendar. It is a draft right now. I'm still waiting on a few pieces from different entities, but it's the basic idea of the calendar that you have tonight. One of the items that needs to be decided tonight is what you want to see on the cover. So I gave you 3 options, and again, just your preference. All these photos that you see in the calendar were taken by a volunteer on the Communications Commission, Barbara Procopi. I greatly appreciate all her help. And again, in the calendar, department information, volunteer information, anything about the borough in one place, which is, I think residents will appreciate. So
If I may, to comment on the cover.
Sure.
I have received many compliments from people out of town, passing through town, about option number 3, that Veterans Park is really so well kept, so well manicured. I received, people tell me, I drove through Oakland, yeah, there's that beautiful park in the middle of town. I'm not saying the other 2 are not beautiful, the other 2 pictures. I just, I know we manicure that lawn and the flowers, et cetera, there, so I would like to speak for option number 3.
So, can we do an option 3A? So I think if we got more of a straight-on shot of that Vets Park, I agree with you. Then we could also get the library in it as well.
That's true, yeah, you're right, yeah.
I just don't know about the timing of taking the picture.
I have hundreds of pictures. She
Okay.
took.
Be sure it's in there. Thank you, Bob. That's
It's a little stark.
Can you get one in a drone? Do you have one from a drone looking down? No.
And again, with the calendar, if there's any suggestions or recommendations, we still have about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before we're going to the printer. So
Okay.
I'm open to any suggestions, comments, anything you feel needs to be changed.
Well, I like that as a fire department, very nice. Open fire, that's first aid.
Right, so are there any comments at this time? Anything that you've noticed and you would like to see or not see?
I just want to commend Mike for the job he did on this. I mean, this is a really wonderful resource, looking at, really outlining everything that the borough offers and this calendar, and introducing everybody. I think it's a really great initiative. Well done, Mike.
I'd like to pass on something from the Green Team. Michael, can people opt out of getting the calendar?
No, we're really not set up to have
Okay.
people opt out, and.
I just
you know,
need
one-
an answer.
Well, but I'll give you two reasons for it. One, it would require a whole procedure and a whole lot more work to have people affirmatively tell us, no, I don't want it. And two, the sponsors, the people that businesses that
Okay.
bought ad space,
That's
it
good.
was with the understanding that this was going to go home.
That's good, thank you, that's a very good point.
Have all the one thing I'm noticing that I don't see it here is like for October, I don't know if this is current, but Fire Prevention Week's not mentioned in here. So I don't know if you've talked to the chiefs of all the departments yet or not, but that's something that should be on.
I have, I didn't get anything on fire prevention, but I can inquire about it.
Okay. Typically, I think it's the second week of the month.
Okay.
I like the shots of the interior of our new library, very impressive. Especially the-
Michael, when do you plan on doing the group photo?
That's another item. As you can see on the inside cover, I'd like to have a nice group photo of the governing body for 2020. So I would think we would have to perhaps schedule a night where we can take a quick photo.
Within the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, or if we absolutely have to at the December 4th meeting, but that's pushing it a little late.
Michael, I know I'm biased, but would you take a look at the calendar with the first aid squad?
Sure.
There's a couple of wrinkles in here.
I'll talk to Matt and we'll work it out.
Oh, I'm just saying, make sure it doesn't get in the final.
Right, we were waiting for the schedule.
Oh, okay, so, I don't know.
All right, so are we all in favor of option 3A? More of a straight-on shot of Vets Park, we can get the library in it as well?
I think that's a great idea.
Yep. great
Absolutely.
idea.
Everybody? All right, good. Anything else on the borough calendar?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, Rich?
And the calendar, are we making money on it? Is it costing us money? Is it,
It's
He
not
wants his
costing
cut
us money.
now, he said.
what?
It's not costing us any
It's
money. The fees are covering it, and my guess is it's probably going to generate some extra revenue for our other activities. But there is still some ad space available.
Yes, and I'm still reaching out to businesses.
And when will the public obtain their copy?
The last week in December.
Of this year?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, you do realize you work for government, right? We don't usually do things on time. That's good, Rich, nice. How's it going?
Well, they don't have employees like we have, that's why we do things on time.
Okay, Rich, recreation?
Okay, recreation fee ordinance. It's that time of year again. This is kind of an annual ritual as the Recreation Commission kind of puts together all the pieces that go into their budget. They take a look at their projected enrollments and costs and come up with any fees that need to be adjusted for the upcoming seasons. So you have a schedule of those adjustments along with an explanation from Neil Malmwood regarding most of those. So with that, I don't know, Mike, if you want to comment on it at all, or you can just refer to the information in the packet. I really have nothing to add to it. I think it kind of stands on its own. I think most of the increases are relatively minimal, $3, $6 for most of the programs, with the one exception, or the main exception being some camps that we're adding in the summertime. And for summer camp, there's a bit of a larger increase, and that has to do with the minimum wage requirements that are now under New Jersey state law that apply to summer camp and other seasonal type programs that were previously exempt. And with that, I'll just open it up for any comment or debate.
Mr., I just want to say, and also, Rich, it's safe to say also that that summer camp rate is going to continue to escalate because they're working their way up to the $15 per hour rate, correct?
Yeah, it probably won't be as big of a jump as this is, because the differential is bigger than it'll be next year.
Correct.
But yes, you'll see this as the minimum wage phase is in, you'll see that cost here as well, yes.
And this is strictly driven by Trent, has nothing to do with us here, just so we're clear.
Correct. Actually, what it's leading to is a bit of wage compression between what the junior counselors make and what the regular and the senior counselors make, because I think we tried to be as cost sensitive as we could. But yeah, it's kind of unavoidable to meet the requirements of the law.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to mention, because parents might get concerned that the camp itself is running flat. We weren't going to raise any fees, but we were to be beholden to the new minimum wage, that we have to meet that. And being that recreation runs on what we take in, what we spend, we have to meet that. And like Councilman Kamala said, it's not going to, I guess, like the jump like this year, but people are going to see an increase. And with that increase, we're still a much better bargain than most things that's out there.
Anybody have any questions for Mike while he's here?
Nope.
Thanks,
And my
Mike.
shoulders bother me.
Hey, actually, there is a question for Mike. Could you just explain the increase in the cap fee and why, real quick?
Oh, we haven't raised the cap fee since its inception. I think it was 2007, 2006. It was $5.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah,
give or take, right?
and costs are going up, have gone up quite a bit since 2007-ish. So we're just going to raise it to $3. The cap fee gives us some monies, then we can use it for field repairs, any other kind of repairs and needs that come across that we need some funds right away. We don't have to raise it, because we've already accumulated over $3 additional on every sign-up fee. And every sign-up fee for people who actually use the field. If it's indoors like basketball or volleyball, they won't have a cap, just when you're actually using it.
Thank you, Mike.
Right.
It's
You know,
important.
we've, I think, done a good job being judicious in how we use that. We've used it as matching money for county grants to stretch our dollars. I think a good example of that is the walking path, for example. So it really has been put to good use for the benefit of the public.
The walking path, the lightning detector, the roof on the building, I mean, it's not on the list, backstops. It really has helped us. We have not had to come here and ask for any tax raises or anything like that yet.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Mike. I think it's important that the public understand, what the cap fee is and why it's going up.
It's a user fee. Yeah,
Right,
it's not
exactly.
tax,
It's
a user
right.
fee. You don't use
Yep.
it, you don't participate, you're not paying for it.
Correct. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
Okay, Rich.
Okay, last item, water and sewer rate ordinance, also something that we take a look at every fall as we start the budget planning process and look at where we think our water and sewer utility appropriation requirements may wind up for the coming year. This year, after discussions in the water and sewer subcommittee, there's kind of a general consensus that due to capital needs and ongoing operational needs, that we should kind of have an incremental increase to make sure that down the road we don't need a much larger increase. So what we are proposing in the main is a 2% rate increase across the board that applies to all rate tiers, the entire rate structure for both the water and sewer utility. Then in addition, some of you may be familiar with something called the Water Quality Accountability Act. It was passed a couple of years ago. Set a number of requirements for operators of utility systems to follow. If you recall, we created an asset management plan. That was a requirement of the program. There's ongoing maintenance requirements for things like checking valves every year, and a bunch of other things that I'm sure Anthony could spend a lot of time explaining here. A big part of that, a big focus, is in the long term to make sure that water system operators are maintaining their capital infrastructure, right? Their wells, their pipes in the ground, right? You brought up Hoboken earlier. You don't want to be a Hoboken that kind of constantly has water main breaks.
Not that there's anything wrong with Hoboken.
Sorry, but just by way of example. So we want to start that implementation process. We're going to be focusing some of our early efforts in the Pleasure Lane neighborhood due to the age and the composition of the pipes down there. We replaced the main on Jerome Avenue. We'll be looking for grant money too. We'll be looking for community development block grant funding in the future. But still, this is something that will become an ongoing annual program, much like we do with maintaining our roads, okay? But we have an opportunity here, since we're starting this kind of from the ground up, from scratch. We've done some intermittent repairs over the years, but if we're going to do something on a regular, consistent, annual basis, the proper way to fund it really is to put it all in capital, fully funded, because we know we're gonna have that expense year over year. So as we're doing the planning for that and kind of ramping up, we need to be building that into the budget. So the second part of the fee proposal is to add in a rate on the base fee only, under the kind of under the theory that everybody, all the system users share in the entire system, an amount that would generate $200,000 a year for capital. And that generates about $11 or so per quarter on the what we consider the average water bill. Okay, so that's the recommendation going forward. And I know, David prepared some analysis for you, and we can answer any questions that you have.
Right.
And no, the only, what this plan will also let them do is we get a better rate per foot of installation when we do this in mass, correct?
Yeah, usually the bigger the project, the more economical it might be.
I just want to say that myself, John, the mayor, part of the Water Sewer Committee, we really took a very close look at this and really want to take a proactive approach to dealing with our infrastructure moving forward. So the idea was to put this rate increase now so we can proactively start replacing our mains so that we don't get caught in 10 years, 20 years down the road with a massive bill having to rebuild the water network.
And believe it or not, we do have some very old infrastructure as far as the water mains go. So we're gonna start down, as Rich said, down in Pleasureland area and work our way up.
Okay.
And then,
David, do you have anything?
just also, I was approached by a resident, there's some parts of town that don't have water. They have, they have wells. And he was wondering if there was any chance that they might get some water.
It's certainly something we can take a look at. I know that issue had come up, I think, on Island Terrace.
Island Terrace is the
Yeah, and
property in
I
question.
think that there were some issues with being able to accomplish that, but it's something that I think maybe the Water and Sewer Committee can just have a quick conversation about again, because I know that it is something we've looked at already, I think.
We looked at it this year, but it really didn't fit into the plans going forward. So maybe revisit again next year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and not to, David spent a lot of time doing analysis here. I don't want to just cut him out if he has anything he wants to offer.
No, it's,
No? Okay.
it's certainly going down the right path, and, with the plans that we have in place and looking at the inventory, we'll have a better idea moving forward where we are long-term financially. So it's a great start.
Are you saying here we have a $600,000 deficit?
Not a deficit in the way you're probably thinking about it. When we look at what the projected lifespan is, the number of linear feet we need to replace per year, all right, eventually that will need to ramp up to something, in today's dollars of about $800,000 a year, okay? We're not proposing to do that all in one shot. We are proposing to phase it in. So this is kind of the first phase, working our way up to that amount of capital funding for water main replacement.
So is what you're saying, we can expect a 2% increase each year for the next several years?
What we're saying, the 2% is something that we will revisit every year, because that's more tied to our operational needs. But for the $200,000 increase, yes, probably for the next 3 years after, as we kind of build up to that amount that we need.
So you're saying this 2% will generate $200,000?
No, that's the second component of it.
Okay.
It's $11 per quarter. On the average user will generate an extra $200,000.
That's what I mean, yeah, right.
Yes,
Yeah.
the $44. Right, the 2% is on top of that, though,
Oh, okay.
just so you know. Okay.
Anybody else have anything for Rich or Dave in reference to this? No? Okay.
I just want to say, the reason we spoke about it at the Water and Sewer meeting, and we just wanted to be sure that we don't go year after year after year without an increase, and then reach a point in time where everyone gets
Sure.
clobbered. So
Absolutely.
we want to keep that from happening, so that's why we're doing incremental increases over the years to make sure that we build up some kind of a positive flow of cash to address all the issues with the water department.
That's smart. Okay, we're gonna move on. Anybody have new business?
Actually, I do have some new business. A couple things, and speaking of residents out campaigning, something was brought to my attention concerning rooming houses in town and also Airbnbs. I'm wondering if there's something, and I spoke to the borough administrator about the rooming house situation. If a person lives next to a house that's being subletted to multiple people renting out bedrooms and everything, it seems as if we don't have teeth in our ordinance that can really deal with this. So the suggestion was perhaps we can have the administration go back and take a look at it and figure out what we can do to put some teeth into this ordinance so it can be enforced, for lack of a better word.
If I may, when I worked in the borough of Lincoln Park, we had that issue come up, and I know they passed a pretty stringent ordinance. So maybe if we ask for a copy from the borough of Lincoln Park, it might address what you're asking for.
Right.
Yeah, certainly, we can go back and take a look. I'll have a conversation with our construction official and our zoning officer, and, kind of get their take on the effectiveness of what we have now.
Ask Lincoln Park for a copy.
We can get some samples, Lincoln Park, and see if we need to make any adjustments to it.
Do we think there's a lot of them in town?
There's a couple residents that have complained, where you have multiple, I'm not going to say a big number, 8 to 10 people living in a house. I mean, we know where some of them are, and it becomes a nuisance for the residents. And clearly, I mean, there isn't a mechanism for the borough to really deal with that or enforce it. So, I mean, it's something that needs to really be looked at. And the second issue I wanted to bring up was down in the colony, there seems to be, there's a lack of parking down there. And some of the residents are complaining about trailers being parked on the road. And, once again, I spoke to Rich and code enforcement. They said there's really nothing on the books to prevent trailers from being parked on the road. I think they got motorcycles in them and stuff like that, or construction stuff. But, I understand that I get it if you have a car and you don't have a place to park, you're allowed to park it on the road, but I think it kind of crosses a threshold when you're parking trailers or other non-vehicles in the public right-of-way.
Well, are they there overnight?
They're overnight.
That violates the overnight parking ordinance.
Right, but the problem is, in speaking to the PD, they said that they could not enforce the trailer part of it, because if you do that, then you're going to be able to have to ticket all the cars as well. And there is no parking in the colony.
So is the colony overnight parking legal? Or, because the whole borough has an overnight no parking ordinance.
It's not legal, but it's also not enforced from what I'm understanding, because they don't have a physical place to put their cars. But I mean, I can understand the fact if you have to put your car on the road, that's one thing, but now to have trailers, I think that's really kind of pushing the boundaries, and maybe if we can revisit that and take a look at that. Mr. Coons, do you have anything to respond to that?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of a bit of the conundrum that they're facing over that. It's something, again, that we can talk about a little bit more internally and see if we have a recommendation that can come up. I think without adding parking down there, there really is not going to be a good practical solution unless it is a legislative one, meaning that, unless you grant some sort of overnight or on-street parking exemption for those streets. And that's something that I think we'd need to also take a look at from a public safety standpoint, look at road widths, the same sort of issue that's come up in the reserve and in some other locations. But, we can kind of, go look at it in that manner and come back to you on it.
Right. And the other issue you have, the trailers are, should be registered with appropriate tags on them. If they're not, then certainly there can be enforcement action, but I'm assuming that these are vehicle-type trailers that are appropriately registered.
From what we understand, yes, they are registered. That's it for me.
Anyone else? New business? Okay, old business?
I do one thing, Bob. Just as an update for Alaman Brook, got about 2 weeks left on the work that we're doing, and all the emergency work for Alaman Brook will be done and start to address the non-emergency work. So everything's moving along. And to the residents up on Andrew Avenue, the head wall there, probably also about 2 to 3 weeks away from being finished and repaired.
Good.
And, Council President?
Sorry, yes, sir.
As you know, I had brought up a couple of times the issue of a traffic study and Boswell Engineering was going to put together a proposal. I know we're temporarily put that on hold because Richard sent a letter to the county asking them to do the traffic study for us rather than us paying an outside firm to do it. So we're still moving ahead with that, just that it's been pushed back a little bit until we get an answer from the county. I know there are people who will speak up for us
At the county.
at the county.
Yeah, that guy.
But anyway, just so everyone knows, we are moving, still, that's still in our radar, and, you know, we'll be hopefully hearing back from the county soon. And when we do, if it's positive, we'll move ahead with them. If it's not, then I don't want to drag our feet with this. Again, if they're going to repave Ramapo Valley Road next year, we need to have all this information done so that the appropriate restriping could be done. And we're not going to solve the traffic problem. That's for sure. We're not going to solve it. We might make it a little bit easier. You know, maybe we can extend the timing of some of the traffic lights, depending on this traffic study, which has not been done for 25 years in Oakland. So it's really a timely issue. But thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Anyone else, old business?
One thing, Bob, I forgot one thing, under the rooming house thing we're looking at, in discussing with Rich and our zoning officer, it was also kind of brought to our attention, we might also want to put an Airbnb ordinance in place. We're seeing a lot of the surrounding towns putting that in as well, so that can also be incorporated into the
Yeah,
rooming
Jersey
house.
City did? Hoboken, thank you.
There's a major issue in Jersey City.
Jersey City.
Jersey City had a major issue, it was on the ballot
Follow,
this year.
follow.
And what they did, they added in rules and regs about how, when, and where you can rent your short-term lease. In other words, they're renting for a week.
And how many times a year too, I think, right?
Yeah, and how many times a
6
year?
times a year or
But the Airbnb has become very big, and they spent millions of dollars in Jersey City just putting it on TV ads, and they went down. And the residents of Jersey City spoke up 70 to 30% in favor of rules and regs. So it is an issue that's growing some wings.
I got a question for the borough attorney. Is this something that can be prohibited in town, or does it have to be allowed, or can it be prohibited by ordinance?
There are a number of communities that have prohibited short-term rentals, which were defined as those under 30 days. So you wouldn't be able to do daily or weekly rentals.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, council committee and liaison reports. I'm going first. All right, so we only have one meeting in the month of November. Normally I do this at the second meeting, but I will give it out tonight. So for our police department, they did, this the second time they did a coffee with a cop at TD Bank. And I'll read what the chief wrote to us, that this gave TD Bank customers an opportunity to have a conversation with local law enforcement. Officers also interacted with adults and children who came to the bank just to meet with the police department. The event proved beneficial as a number of interesting conversations were held. Additionally, officers handed out educational materials to the children and to their parents. And I just think programs like this are outstanding. It develops a relationship between the children of the town and the law enforcement, so they see them as allies and not adversaries going forward. So kudos to those guys. Also, on October 24th, Indian Hills held a Teen Driver Safety Award program sponsored by New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance. At the request of Indian Hills, our chief and officer Chris Tinio attended the program and participated in a Q&A session after the presentation. And again, just kudos to those guys for getting out into the public's eye and helping out. As far as the police numbers go, as I usually report, they had, for the month of October, 350 motor vehicle stops, 17 radar details, 6 traffic enforcement details, resulting in 487 summonses. They responded to 47 burglar alarms, 40 motor vehicle crashes, which I think seems a little high to me, but that's kind of what we do. For the year, though, their total calls for service, 15,680. Moving on to the fire department. Calls for service for the month of October, 33, resulting in 287 hours. Total calls, drills, standbys for the month, 36 for 296 hours. Year-to-date, 311 calls for service for 8,381 hours. Total calls, that would be drills, training, standbys, and calls for service, 347 for 8,597 volunteer hours. For our first aid squad and Pat Pinatelli, the month of October, calls for service 64 for 128 hours. Month of October, total calls 68, which included standbys and training, for a grand total of 1,305 hours. So that's significant amount of hours, and a lot of that's their on-duty hours where they may not have calls, but they're committing themselves to the borough and being on call just in case somebody needs them.
Council President,
Sir, yes, sir.
before you go off the first aid, would you give us a brief rundown about the Lucas that you?
Yeah, sure. With your assistance. Year-to-date, first 8 hours, calls for service 695 for 1,390 hours. So total calls for service, drills, training, standbys, 734. This is kind of mind-blowing. 13,041 hours volunteered to the borough from the first aid squad. So outstanding job again. What Pat's alluding to is the first aid squad had their meeting a week ago, this past Monday. I attended, and they had what they call Lucas. I don't know what the acronym's for, so we'll just say that's his name. And what Lucas is an automated CPR machine. So if somebody gets to the police, or somebody gets and somebody's down and they start manual CPR, right now we have a demo version of the Lucas, and the first aid squad will be coming. Is it December 4th? Did they reach out to you? And they're going to do a demonstration of this. It's pretty unique. But you wear it in a backpack. You get to the scene. You take this thing off, and it goes over the chest of the victim, and you can you set it up, and it starts doing the pumping for you, which allows you to give the breaths if you need to give the breaths, because that kind of went away for certain circumstances. But it also allows you to activate the AED while you're still giving compressions. And if you're doing manual compressions, everybody has to be hands off for the AED, or you'll get shocked. This doesn't require that. So they're costly. I don't remember the exact cost. 15 grand a pop. So I know first aid squad's looking to get some. I recommend that the police department. There may be some fundraisers out there that are going to happen. So if you see or hear anything about the Lucas, that's what it is a mechanical CPR device that obviously is a lifesaver. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Just that, I mean, the reason why it's so important, because you can imagine one person doing CPR, not only at the house, but in the entire transport to the hospital. The CPR would have to be done in the back of the ambulance. If you have the Lucas on them, the Lucas does it, and the person, obviously, if you had to do it manually, would get tired. So you would need 2 or 3 people back there switching on and off. But in this case, with the Lucas, it stays on the person from the time at the home until the time you get into the hospital. As soon as you get in the house, they take it off and they start their medical attention. So.
Right, and it's kind of unique because the way it attaches, it's on you, like Pat said, from cradle, well, I'm not going to say cradle to grave, from start to finish. And you can, when you're moving somebody, not necessarily flat on a stretcher, they could be in a stair chair going down, sitting upright like this, and that thing is still giving compression. So it's nonstop. So it's, I think the survival rate, what did they say, is like 5 or 6%, 5% for manual CPRs, and it's significantly better with the Lucas because of it. It's nonstop CPR. So okay, moving on. Pat, we'll go to you.
Thank you. From the Green Team, recycling of disposable razors at ShopRite is temporarily unavailable. You have to get a different box to maintain it, because a lot of people are bringing disposable razors there. Also, Sustainable Oakland Green Team reminds residents that they can recycle crayons and markers at the library. You know, they break in half, don't throw them away, bring them down to the library, and they can recycle them. I don't want to step on DPW, but with the Green Team, they'd like to remind people about the backyard compost bins, John, right, available at the DPW. $60. I mean, I think they're over $100, but
Yes.
we sell them for only $60. Health Department. I know I keep saying this every meeting. Flu shots, flu shots, flu shots. I just recently learned of a statistic that only 1/3 of cardiac patients get the flu shot. Cardiac patients are very susceptible to the flu, and it's fatal if you're really infirm. So seriously, if you know someone in your family, your grandfather, your father, your mom, your grandmother, somebody in your family that takes cardiac medication, make sure they get a flu shot. Only 1/3 of patients, cardiac patients, get the flu shot, which is unbelievably low. Last year, 80,000 people died in the United States from flu. Little kids get it too. So talk to your pediatrician for your child, and talk to your parents or grandparents. If they're cardiac patients, make sure they get a flu shot. Thank you, Council President. That's it.
All right. Russ?
No, I'm not going to turn my mic on. So, public events, thank you very much for everything you guys do. You do so much. We have the Christmas tree and menorah lighting coming up on December 8th, and there's the holiday lights judging will be on the 18th of December. Again, we always need members. It's a great group of people, just having a lot of fun, making things go easy for everybody who's having an event. We try to piggyback on everybody's event and help out where we can. And then also, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that decided to run for office this November. You know, it's an important thing, and you know, there's winners, there's losers, but just to participate, you're a winner. This is it's an important job, and to sit up here, you take a lot of time out of your life, and for people to just take the risk to run and be out there for public scrutiny, it takes a lot of guts, and I thank everyone that did it. I'm proud of everybody that ran. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Lou?
Shade Tree Commission, I did not attend the meeting this week. However, they're on a track to do replantings of approximately 100 trees a year through 2030, which is a very good thing. That's going to be about an increase of 43% from where we are now. So Pat, the Environmental Commission should be happy. More trees.
Absolutely.
Flood Commission, I want to remind everybody, very important, that if you live below the railroad trestle or above the Oakland-Pompton border in the flood zone along the river, you really should go out and get your flood elevation certificate. If you have one, get it amended. If you don't have one, get one. The changes in the flood elevations have taken effect, and you very well may be able to see a benefit. If your house is negatively rated, you may go to positively rated. And with, I know like my insurance right now is somewhere around $8,600 a year. And unfortunately, the CRS benefit that we get of 15% has now been offset because the NFIP put a 15% surcharge back into the policy. So we got 15 off, they charge us 15. So getting the amended flood elevation certificate could be a big financial savings to you. Flood Commission meets the second Monday at Borough Hall. Shade Tree meets the first Monday at Borough Hall at 7 o'clock. Flood Commission's at 7:30. And
Just a question of curiosity. The flood elevation certificates, how does someone get one of those?
you contact an engineering firm, and they come down and do them. They run somewhere around $550. If you have one, you may be able to get it. If you go back to the original engineer, they may do an amendment for less, but I think there's something called, and John, you're gonna have to, the Nava datum.
NAVD.
That's it.
1929 versus
Right. Right.
NGVD 1929 versus NAVD 1986.
Right.
That's the difference is in datum. It's about 1 foot in this
Exactly.
area of the country.
So what'll happen is you'll get the change of the base flood elevation, but then there's a 1 foot offset because they, again, give a little, take a little.
Okay,
So, that's it.
thank you. Eric?
Yeah, rec report. Good news, the roller hockey rink is almost done. The boards are up. We're just waiting for the final walkthrough next Tuesday for the final punch list, striping, and roller hockey should be ready to go by the end of November. So Oakland got it done on time.
Look good, Mike?
It's great, came out. Yeah, it came out fantastic. Also, library. I'm sure people have noticed over the course of the last year, we've had a problem with the main doors going into the building due to the way the, see how the engineer's laughing over here. It's actually pretty sad. With the vendor that did the work on the building, it was nothing but problems from day one. We were still holding back a good portion of their money, and I'm happy to announce that they finally brought another vendor in, and they have replaced both the inside door and the outside door. So now the doors work properly going in and out of the building, and that was really it was a big problem for the last several months, post-construction. For water and sewer, there's going to be a public meeting tomorrow for residents that live around the Oakwood Knolls sewage treatment plant. It's an opportunity for them to have Q&A with members of the committee, our engineers, and administration concerning what's going on with that plant and any issues that they have.
Excuse me, Councilman.
Yes.
Skyview.
Skyview, I'm sorry, Skyview, yep. I apologize, Skyview, so it's the resident Skyview section. That's all I have, thank you.
John?
Yes, thank you, Rob. Get this mic on. Council update for senior report. The weekly movie schedule continues every Monday at 1:30. The movie on November 18th will be Breakthrough, and the movie on November 25th will be The Lion King. Flyer with the weekly movie schedule can be picked up at Senior Center and is also available at Borough Hall. There's been a trip arranged to visit High Society Tea House in Wayne on November 21st for high tea. You can sign up at the Senior Center, and the cost is $30 per person. The bus will be available for transportation for those who need it on a first-come, first-served basis. Line dancing will continue in November with our volunteer instructor, Edith. These classes will be held on Fridays, November the 1st, 15th, and 22nd at 2 p.m. There is no pre-registration, as this is a drop-in class. Registration is open for the winter trip to Wind Creek Casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on December 17th. The men's club will have a special program on November 19th at 1 p.m., and the cooking class, they will be making chicken pot pies. And a representative from Assemblywoman Holly Schapizzi's office will be visiting on November 19th and will be hosting an information table relevant to seniors beginning at 11 a.m. Council report for the DPW. The 2019 storm drain inspections on the 2,626 borough-owned storm drains have been completed as part of the NJDEP Storm Water Pollution Prevention Plan. This year's inspections identified 104 catch basins that needed to be repaired and another 121 basins that required cleaning. To date, all necessary repairs have been made, and basin cleaning is underway and will be completed by the end of the year. As the weather and temperatures change, residents may notice that the number of potholes increase as well. Residents are asked to please continue reporting potholes to the Department of Public Works by filling out a service request on the borough website or by calling the service building at 201-337-8103, extension number 3003. Since January of this year, the DPW has repaired 1,599 potholes and will continue this process in all seasons as needed. In anticipation of the upcoming winter season, Public Works employees recently serviced and tested every piece of snow removal and ice control owned by the borough. The DPW has a safety message regarding roadside flooding. In most instances, flooding is caused by fallen leaves that obstruct the tops of the storm drains, which causes ponding. We're asking all the residents to pay close attention and remove leaves from the storm drains if they are in front of your property, especially during rain or when snow begins to melt. Ponding can quickly result in dangerous conditions for motorists and pedestrians alike, but can easily be prevented. Our Superintendent of Public Works is currently accepting suggestions from our residents where they feel a new LED streetlight or replacement fixture will improve pedestrian and traffic safety. Lastly, I'd like everyone to know that our yard waste pickup is coming to an end. So if you have your leaves and any grass cuttings, this won't start up again until springtime. And note that the last pickup for the yard waste will be December the 9th for the north end of town and December the 10th for the south end of town. Thank you to Anthony Marcuselli and the entire DPW department for the incredible work performed every day of the year. I'd also like to give a shout out to Post Commander Ron Beatty, who year after year, he hosts a veterans ceremony on Veterans Day at 11 a.m., 11/11 at 11 a.m. And it was very nicely attended, and we also had a class from, I believe, from the Valley Middle School there. And one of the students was called up, and she gave a very nice dissertation on what Veterans Day means to her without any previous notice. So she did it on the run, and she did very well. I'd also like to give a shout out to Jimmy McWilliams, who was there from the DPW assisting and making sure everything went off right. Thank you so much. That's my report.
Very good, thank you. Okay, you get a motion to open to the two public people here?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything, guys?
Yes, paper. One Winding Ridge. As a couple of you members have mentioned, we're gonna pave 202 next year. Water main under 202, make sure Anthony makes sure to check all the valves and make sure we're good.
Talk to the camera, Anthony's watching.
Hello,
Yeah.
Anthony, how are you? And then,
Check for leaks.
Council President Knapp had requested a couple of meetings ago, Skyline Drive.
Yes.
County of Bergen did contact the company that does the grooving of the center line and the edge lines. Unfortunately, they can't do it this year, but it will be scheduled for next year.
They'll do it? Good.
Yes.
Okay, cool, thank you. Thanks, Tom. Mike, no? All right, motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, bills to be paid?
Bills to be paid, $328,876.35. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy?
Yes.
Councilman Knapp?
Yes.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Levy?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Tawini?
Yes.
Okay, so our next council meeting is Wednesday, December 4th, 2019. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
That's okay.
They used to be. That was headed by Bill Dean.
Yes.
And Bill Dean and I.